What have I done? What have I become? I can't describe this. This is my mid-mic crisis.
Hello and welcome to the Mid-Mic Crisis. I am Bunchu alongside my esteemed colleague and co-host Chamber. Chamber, how you doing, buddy?
I don't want to be around anymore.
Oh, me either today, dude. I don't fucking know what is going on today. I have a massive headache. I just feel like total doo-doo. And but here we are. We persevere.
But I like the way that you do what you do.
At least we don't do what did he do.
Yeah, he done did it.
And that's our first clip for today's show. That's the kind of show it's going to be, folks, today. So welcome and thanks for being here. By the way, this is one of those days, Chamber, where, you know, AI is the superior option because both of us were saying we would rather send our AIs to do the show today. Do you agree?
Yeah, I agree 100%. I don't know sometimes I don't think. Occasionally I have to go out of town for work, and for whatever reason, for whatever reason, I want to do it the day, like I come back the day of our show.
That's terrible.
You know, like, it makes so much sense in my head before I leave. So last night, no sleep. I don't know about you, like hotel, first night at a hotel, zero sleep, and I'm only staying one night, so.
I'm the opposite because I think it's because I have small children. So I am very much looking for, and I have a dog that sleeps in my bed. So like when I get to a hotel, I'm like, all right, let me sleep the entire time, please.
Really? I didn't fall asleep till 2. I was up at like 5:45. Like it was not good. Just nightmares too. You ever get nightmares? Are you like a person that remembers their dreams? No, like vivid nightmares, like waking up, like just to kind of give you a highlight of what my head goes through. One of the dreams was I was at a funeral home / crematorium / restaurant. So yeah, this
doesn't sound like a nightmare. It sounds like a business idea.
Yeah, I was disposing of I don't know, like a family member, like cremating them. And then while I was waiting, I was having food like at the restaurant portion of this funeral home. But I could also feel the heat coming from the crematorium. It was terrible.
I mean, you can make some really good brick oven pizzas. You could do what else? Dead guys, burgers and fries. I think you've got something here. What do you think?
I mean, yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
But I said that to Amber, and she said the same thing. She's like, So it might be a business
idea. This is not every time I see a dead guy, I'm thinking, I'm hungry.
Yeah. I mean,
and then I'm thinking, brains.
Well, but where's the best food? The best food is at funerals. So, I mean, I eat very well at funerals. So
I don't know if that's true.
I don't know if it's not true. I feel like some of the best meals I've ever had was funeral food.
Yeah, all right. Let's rank these here. What do we got? We'll rank them. Let's do a marry, F, kill on funeral reception or repast, whatever you call it. Funerals, weddings, and I don't know. Give us a third event where it's catered or something.
Maybe like like a work, like an office party.
Work conference. Yes.
Yeah, work conference. I would say, honestly, if those are the options, you're saying funeral, work conference, or wedding. Honestly, weddings done. Like weddings suck for food. As a rule, I don't want to eat because I'm dressed nice. So like the amount that I do want to eat is lowered. Plus there's other people there, which always kind of hampers my appetite. But yeah, I've had bad experiences with wedding food. So I would probably put that as the kill. I think I'm fucking funeral food. I think I'm deep. I'm deep diving that one. And
you're
yeah,
marrying work conference.
Work conference food is solid. It's dependable. It's gonna be okay. You'll get a little. You might get some food from around the world, depending on the day. So yeah, I'm.
Please answer this question from Payne.
The dead person doesn't hamper your appetite. No, apparently not. Just keeps feeding.
We're off to a riveting start here today.
I knew it was going to be funny as soon as we said we were both feeling like shit.
Yeah, so, not as structured of a show as we usually have here today. However, yeah, I do wish we could send our AIs today.
Yeah.
If you haven't checked out our AI version of the podcast, we've been putting out the Mid-Mic Daily Bites every day, 4 to 7 minutes, I would say, deep diving some news topic of the day, spanning from AI, crypto, and, we are one of the leading conspiracy theory podcasts out there. So Chamber makes us do some conspiracy articles here and there as well. But those have been, I would say, going really well. I've also said I've created a content Frankenstein, I feel, with you.
Yes. Oh, for me, yeah, 100%.
With you, yeah. Like you have turned into a content Frankenstein. I've created a monster, and I've given that monster the ability to create on-demand podcasts whenever he chooses. And now they just show up in our feed. I don't even do them anymore the last couple of days, and I'm like, oh, this seems to be working for you.
Oh, it's great. Like I do them overnight, or I do them the night before.
Like. Yeah,
I schedule them for 7 a.m. Eastern time, and away we go. It's great. Even the tweets are all scheduled. So no, it's been great. And they've been fun. Honestly, the last couple have been, I thought, very funny.
Dude, I'm always North Korea one. I was dying. Oh my
God. Pyongyang.
It was like the North Korea LinkedIn hackers one. If you haven't heard that is an incredible episode. I mean, look, we've prompted our AIs to be funny.
They're funny. They're probably funnier than us.
They are definitely funnier than us. However, that specific one, the North Korea one, the intro or the segment that it created was see if you could identify messages from North Korean hackers.
Yeah.
And one of the message examples from a North Korean hacker was calling you in the message an esteemed colleague.
That's right.
And you respond by saying, who the hell would say something like that? And I start every show by calling you my esteemed colleague and co-host.
It's because it doesn't do that in the Daily Bite. Like I don't think it does.
Because we because of feedback from Payne, our producer Payne, he that was uncanny valley for him trying to replicate the same intro that I do here.
Right.
Yes.
Makes sense. Yes.
Right. Yes.
Now you were testing something today that I had never seen before, and I thought that's what you were talking about when we were talking about a Frankenstein. It was this like Apple Wallet thing, and I have no idea I've never seen that before. Did you create this? Is this a new thing? How can I display it so people can, sign up for it?
Well, I didn't know you were going to put this on the spot here. However, so let me bring it up because this is actually pretty cool.
So you sent me a link. You're like, download this. So it's it's almost like a subscribe landing page where you put your email in. And then I put my email in, and then it says, do you want to add this to your Apple Wallet? So I click yes. And now in my Apple Wallet, I have a Mid-Mic Crisis. I don't know what they're called. Tabs.
Wallet Pass.
Wallet Pass. So I have that in my wallet now. And apparently I'm going to get updates. Is this what I'm getting?
Yeah. So here's a link for you to put in the show notes where people can go and download this pass. However, what it is, I'll bring it up on my screen here really quick. Let's see if it works. We could do it live on I could send one live. So we could flash this up if anybody wants to download it right now while we're on. I'll put it up here for a second.
ZG says, don't let Bunch give you shit, Chamber. I've been trying to give him access to 2,500 movies for free, and dude can't make an account. I'll take 2,500 movies for free.
I totally forgot again. Sorry, ZG. Dude, I'm the worst. I am just the worst.
I'm assuming you haven't watched the show. I've been listen, for the people listening at home, I have watched maybe one of my top 5 favorite shows of all time. I'm not even joking. The show is called Kevin Can F Himself. It's, if you're in the US, I believe it's on Netflix currently. This was an AMC show a couple years ago, like an AMC like streaming show. But it stars the Alexis from Schitt's Creek, if you're familiar with her, and it is one of the most interesting shows I've ever seen. It's a half sitcom, half drama. I kind of compare it to like King of Queens meets Breaking Bad, and it's 2 seasons. It ends at the end of the 2nd season, so it's only 16 total episodes. The ending is phenomenal. Unreal, especially for people that have grown up in the kind of the 90s and the early 2000s with a ton of sitcoms. Super interesting show. So highly recommend.
Four out of shape. 4 dads. Out of shape.
Welcome back to another episode of the Bad Dad Advice Podcast.
Hanging out once a week. Consuming beers. What will they say next?
Confucius say, "He who goes to bed with itchy butt wake up with stinky finger." You ever use a bidet? Bidet to you, sir. Get him a telescope so he can see Uranus from farther away.
Can we give some dad advice here? If the buttons on your shirt button the opposite way, that's the lady's shirt.
Yeah, that's it. You've taken my spot now. ZG's offering you the spot on his,
I'm in.
That's it. You know, you snooze, you lose, as always. But all right, back to this. I'm going to throw this on. You can. So if you wanted to scan this right now, producer Payne, you should scan this so you know when the shows are. So you can scan this right now, and what will happen is you will get brought to a link that would allow you to download our Mid-Mic Crisis Wallet Pass. So you could download this if you are on Google or Apple, and it sits in your, Wallet Pass collection, like your, either your credit card, your Apple Cash, or
my Cineplex card.
Your Cineplex card, if that's a thing. And you, like your boarding passes would, right?
Right, exactly.
So, and what's cool about this is it basically acts as a push notification layer. So this product is called Push. It's from a, you can go to gowithpush.com to create one of these yourself, actually.
Not pushandthetush.com?
No, different
site. Okay, all right.
That's different site. But yeah, so you could go and actually create these yourself. But what's also cool is if you click these 3 dots on the pass and go to pass details, you can see all of our links on the back. So this has a link to our YouTube, our TikTok, our articles, all of that stuff that are hyperlinked. So you can click it out. And what this allows us to do is if you have this wonderful pass in your wallet, we can actually send out content notifications every time something drops, whether it's an article, a newsletter, or say we get a sponsor and we're doing offers or something like that. So it is the way that you can stay in touch and up to date up to the second when we release things. So go download this pass. We'll have a link in the show notes, and we tested it out today. when we launch the Daily Bite, and it sends a cool notification right to your lock screen, just like you would get from any other app that
That's
tells
awesome.
you a piece of content has been downloaded. So I've actually been advising and working a little alongside the company that created this, and so I'm using it for our own endeavors here.
That's
which
why
is cool.
I was gonna say, because this is fairly new. I haven't seen anybody use
Very
this
new.
yet.
Yeah, no, this is a brand new product. It's actually like in beta with these guys.
Really?
So yeah, so very cool. So shouts to Push and the Keyspace team. So that's funny. This was a totally unprompted segment. I didn't know you were going here.
No, I mean, it was intriguing to me. I'm like, I listen to a lot of like podcasts and stuff like that. Never have I once seen anything like that. So I thought it was very interesting.
So what I really think is cool about this, so it's not necessarily just for creators. It's actually, I mean, like, imagine you are a multi-location business. Something like this Wallet Pass can use geolocation as well. So say you're a restaurant and you have a customer base of thousands of people that at any one time can come into your restaurant, and you have them download something like this, keep their Wallet Pass. It's also a loyalty card, so there's a loyalty layer to this as well. So you could kind of build a whole loyalty program on the back of this Wallet Pass. Point being, say Chamber, you're a Tim Hortons Rewards Pass member, Wallet Pass member,
until Duncan gets to Canada. Yes.
Right, until Duncan gets to Canada, and you're passing your local Tim Hortons, and they are able to know that because you've opted in, and they send you a little push notification that says, hey, did you know we've got or did you know your daughter's here, or did you know did you know we've got a special on Timbits today, and now you're alerted, right? So you can do all kinds of cool stuff with this. It basically acts as, but I think there's a really cool use case for content creation around this, right? Because as a creator, you're always asking for the likes, subscribes, whatever, but that's very impersonal, right? And this is a way to stay in touch very personally with your member or your subscribers, keep in touch with your content. And again, like, you could use this as a loyalty and rewards layer as well. So it's a pretty cool product that they're building over there at Push. So
I love it.
Check them out. We'll have that link to download ours in the show notes, and we'll be using that pretty heavily going forward. Not too frequently. We don't want to just push notification you every time.
Push it real good. No.
Exactly. Push it real good. That's right. But anyway, all right. So that's Push. Download our little Wallet Pass and stay in touch with all the stuff we're doing. We'll be using those pretty frequently to update you on content. You want to hear the story?
I've been dying. When you texted me, you're like, was it last night?
Last night, yeah.
Oh, you can't do this to me.
I'm sorry, I kind of forgot about it until forgot about it until we were going on to the show.
Bunch texted me last night. He's like, I don't even know what you said. But basically it's just like, boy, do I got a story for you. And I'm like, okay, I'm all ears. And he's like, I'm going to save it for the show tomorrow. And I honestly probably one of the reasons.
That's not what I said. I said it's better story live to tell you live. I wasn't intending to to tell you on the show because of the nature of the story, but now I feel like I have to, and here we go. So yesterday, I also texted you that I was on my way to New York City, to the wonderful borough of Brooklyn.
The fictional city of Brooklyn, New York.
Yes, and that's what you said to me. You told me that people in Canada think that Brooklyn is fake.
I think people around the world, like non-Americans, when you hear like New York City or like Brooklyn, I'm like, I don't know, that's a movie. That's might as well just say Narnia at this point. Like, it's not a real place. You know what I mean?
Yes. It's vastly different from, I would say, Manhattan. It's a little more
Manhattan's your typical New York
yeah.
scene, right? Like that's when you think New York, it's Manhattan I'm thinking of, right?
Yeah, like Brooklyn feels like if Manhattan was a suburb, but also still a city. Do you know what I mean? Does that make sense?
Totally, I gotcha.
It's not like spread out like a suburb would be, but it's just got a little different vibe to it. You know what I mean? Anyway, so I texted you that I was on my way there, and I was going there to meet a company that I wanted or was meeting the founders of to potentially work with in some capacity, right? So I wouldn't necessarily say it was a job interview, but it was a meet and greet with the potential to work together, right? So I get there, and I had met one of the co-founders prior on a virtual call, Zoom, and they had reached out to me on LinkedIn, and we got on a call and we hit it off. Great guy, awesome company, doing a lot of really cool things in Web3 blockchain, from like ordinals to loyalty layer to all of this kind of stuff. So very cool company that they've got a lot of stuff going on. Anyway, so we hit it off, and he was like, hey, I'm going to be in Brooklyn in a couple weeks. Come to our office, hang out for a bit. I said, all right. So I get there, and the other co-founder, whom I haven't met yet, is the only one there. So we are sitting in a room, and we're doing the get to know you, right? So I'm telling him my backstory, just of like everything, my whole kind of career after college, and what had led me to, sitting in front of him today. And part of that story includes, how I got into the crypto / blockchain space. And, so as I'm telling this story, I mentioned that that I started doing a podcast in 2018, and I've been doing it ever since. And, I said, it's kind of like the power of the internet here, where my co-founder or my co-host and I, whom I would consider, one of my best friends, we've never actually met. And he follows it up with a kind of what I thought was like an odd question for the context of what I'm telling him. And he says, oh, what's your co-host's name? And I was like, why are you asking me that? It's not really relevant to, like, it doesn't, like, he doesn't matter ever. And so, but no. So I was like, oh, and I kind of, him asking me this question,
you just gotta answer.
Him asking me the question threw me off a little bit, because so I was like, how do I answer this? Do I say Chamber or do I say Chad? Do I say Chamber or do I say Chad? And now like seconds have passed where I have not answered the question. And so how would you have answered that question? Would you have said Joe, or would you have said Bunchu?
In that scenario, I would have said Joe.
I said Chad. Okay.
Yeah, I think that's the right answer.
So I said Chad. And so he goes, oh, okay. And so, that was it. I kept telling the story, and he goes, oh, what's your podcast called? And I was like, okay, well, that's, I would say, more relevant to the conversation.
Yeah.
And so I was like, oh, we've rebranded a couple times. We started as a show called Wrecked Podcast. And then in 2021, we transitioned into the Mint, and he goes, Mint Condition. And I was like, uh-oh.
We said so many things on these shows.
And I was like, uh-oh. He knew the show. And now at this point in the show, or in the story, the other guy is there, and he's sitting next to me. This is the gentleman that I'd already met.
And he's got a Wreck Podcast t-shirt on?
No, but he goes, so he goes, the Mint Condition. He's like, dude, he goes, I knew your voice sounded familiar. And now thinking back on it, that's of course why he asked what my co-host name was. Because if I said Chamber, he would have known immediately.
Yeah.
Right. And so he was trying to probe deeper into, is this who I thought it was? Like, do I know of this person? And so as soon as I said the Mint Condition, the other guy chimes in, and he goes, so you're the one responsible for my huge Maison des Goat collection. And I nearly died. And I was like, oh my God, Des. And it was the funniest thing. And so these guys were aware of the show, and listened way back when it was the Mint Condition. And,
is that the first person you've ever met that's listened to the show?
Well, let's put it this way. No, it is not. However, I would say, they're definitely the highest status / profile people that I have ever come across that listen to the show.
Because I do feel we have
the company is no joke. They are a venture-backed, big-time company that has raised millions of dollars in Series A, and they're very, I would say, high-performing, successful individuals, and that part kind of blows my mind.
Because I would say like our voices are unique. I feel like that's never happened to me where it's just like, oh, I know that voice. I would be mortified if somebody recognized me by my voice.
I was in the moment. I was like, oh no. I was like, should I just
well, you have way less to worry about. I've said way worse stuff.
But I'm like guilty by association.
Definitely definitely guilty by association.
The fact that I have not, this would be like if Steve and T-Moss continued to do the show years later.
It's the show I've always wanted. I miss that show so much. That was a classic. It could have been a phenomenal show. But anyways, you want to talk about OpenAI?
Sure, we should talk about the things we're going to talk about.
Yeah, but that's amazing. I hope one day that I get recognized for my contribution.
Well, you did get recognized, but it was through me. But yes, you got recognized. They knew who you were. The fact that I had said, well, I think what triggered the whole thing was the fact that I had said, I had never met my co-host, which is a calling card of this show.
That is a calling card. And the fact that you hesitated on my name, where there was a pause, where like, do I say what name?
I didn't know how to. I like.
But even that would be kind of like a tell, like, oh, this guy that he's thinking of has multiple names. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah. This guy's batshit crazy. Shit. Anyway,
that's fantastic.
Yes. Well, the rest of the conversation went very well. I enjoyed myself, and
well, that's good.
They have a fantastic
shout out to our fans.
Yes. Yes. Anyway, so the main topic we were supposed to talk about today, 28 minutes ago, is the new release of the OpenAI models. Have you dug into these much? Did you? I mean, this is what we've been waiting for. In terms of all the stuff we've been talking about in the last few weeks to a month, right, has been started with the rumors of Strawberry and Strawberry Man and all of that stuff. And it has led to the culmination of these new models being released. So tell me from the, I would say, so
I'll tell you what I know. I know that so it's OpenAI 01 is what I know. This is
and 01 Mini. So the 01 Mini, the new series of models is called 01. Yes.
Yeah. So there is a mini version. So there's your main 01 version that's going to be, new and improved, but there will be a mini version that's going to be apparently at a lesser cost. So the idea would be more people would be able to purchase this and interact and use AI on a daily basis. I don't know if that means that 01 is going to be going up in price significantly or not. I didn't get into that. But yeah, I don't know. Advanced reasoning, I want to say, is what 01 does, but you're going to explain to me what that means precisely.
Yeah. So let's think of, I'm going to try to pull up a tweet of mine.
Oh, and did you get access to the preview?
So everyone has access. If you have a GPT Plus account, so if you pay for your GPT Plus, you have access to preview.
I do essentially. Should I be using it?
Well, let's describe what it does first, and you can decide what use cases you may or may not have for it. Right. So there's a couple, I would say, big things to note here. So let's first talk about what's the difference between how these models operate versus how you've been using ChatGPT in the past, right? So ChatGPT in the past with all these other models, 4.0, etc., are, token predictors. This is how they work. They are trained on all of the, information on the internet, scraped from all these different sources and everything like that. And they are at their core kind of taking in your question and predicting next token response based on, all of this data and compute, right? So you're using it for things like writing and coding and whatever, where there's context of things, where this type of model has kind of like broken down or not been able to kind of accelerate past its current capabilities is complex problem solving, right? Like it answers instantly, and like the old models answer instantly, and they're not
like one question, one answer, as opposed
one
to
question,
like,
one answer, and speedy, right? Like
right.
It's immediate.
As opposed to like me giving it like, okay, well, if I do this, what are the what are the outcomes, and then what are those possible outcomes after that kind of thing? Is that what we're talking about as the O1?
Yeah. So there's been if you've been following kind of how to prompt these models in the best way prior, there's a method of prompting called chain of thought, right? And what chain of thought prompting is intending to do is kind of simulate this reasoning, right? So by giving it a chain of thought prompt, you're asking it to kind of go through your request step by step. And because on its own, by default, it doesn't do that, right? So you have to kind of prompt that action out of it. Now, the difference here is these new models are trained and built to reason, right? And so what does that mean? It's basically that they've built this chain of thought process. They've structured these based on this idea of chain of thought, right? And so at its core, let me share my screen here.
And chain of thought being like, if this, then that, or if this, then these.
Yeah, right. Like, here's how you should break down this process of, So here, there's this chart here that, doesn't mean much unless you know what you're looking at here. But part of, the hurdles we'd had with these old models is that people thought they were going to kind of stagnate and not be able to advance beyond their current capabilities. With these new models here, this graph that I'm showing is a really big deal, and it shows something that's really important, and it's that both of these kind of lines are trending upwards together. And for a long time, people thought that these models like chatbots and assistants would plateau, but they were using how well the AI learned or was trained to predict this, right? So meaning that the only answer it was giving or could give was coming from its training data, right? So it had to have essentially seen the problem before to answer it, right? So that's where it comes to like this idea of, oh, well, this obviously has to plateau at some point because there's only so much data you can train it on, correct?
Correct.
And then we've talked in the past about, oh, well, what if these models can create synthetic data to kind of keep training themselves or train themselves to be better or faster or whatever, right? And so, like I just said, they were predicting this because of how well the AI learned or was trained. But what they were missing was that the real boost in performance comes not just from the training, but how it works when it's actually being used, which is called inference. So essentially, what's happening under the hood after you send your request, right? So if you actually watch a GPT-4 response, it streams the output line by line, but what's happening under the hood is that output's actually instant, right? Doesn't take any time. It's just you're just perceiving it that way because that's how they're presenting it to you, right? Like if you
it could theoretically just pop it up on screen.
Correct. And that would scare the shit out of you.
It would scare the shit out of me.
Yes, it's mostly a UI thing because it would scare the shit out of you. If you got a 5-paragraph long response as the second you hit go.
It's startling.
You would, yes, but that's actually what it does, right? So like if you ever
I didn't know that.
Chatbot,
that's very interesting.
Well,
I thought it was
about,
thinking that. I thought it was thinking that fast.
well, think about the Replit show that we did, right? When we built that chatbot, as soon as we hit send, we didn't put streaming text in there.
That's true.
Outputted us back the entire response.
That's right.
And it wasn't long because we had a token limit of like 150 tokens. But if we didn't have that, it would output you the whole response right at one time, right? And so, point being with the covering this topic is like, that's inference, right? So, right. And you've seen things like Grok, the processors and the chips that speed up inference time, which makes this stuff work faster, right? But people have started to notice that the AI could improve itself or couldn't improve itself much after a few tries, and that's kind of where it started to get stuck. And you know, the new insights here are because now you've got this way to quote unquote think or reason. That's the thing that's happening after you hit send, right? And so if you watch this thing go, it actually thinks and reasons through its response and process before giving you the output. So what that means is it can recursively see a problem or something that it hasn't seen before and essentially reason through how to solve it rather than just spit you out the response immediately. Does that make sense? Totally makes sense. I can't believe I explained that in a way that makes sense.
Yeah, well, you've been dealing with the slow learners for a while now, and you're adapting your presentation skills effectively.
Well, I have to explain it in a way that makes sense to me, right? So,
yeah, explain it to me like I'm Chamber. You know what I mean?
I'm not that smart, right? So, okay, so that's the core of like the big differences here. And we'll walk through kind of an example on screen in a second too, just the differences between the two, right? So there's basically two models that they released access to right now. It's the first one is O1 Preview. It's designed for really complex reasoning tasks and problem solving, excels in areas like science, coding, math, and similar types of problems. I've seen some really cool examples that I think you would dig about, like writing, but not in the sense that you would write with GPT-4. So I'll give you an example. Have you ever tried to write a poem or a song with GPT-4?
No, not with GPT-4.
And well, what it like, you could give it really great instructions on how to structure the rhyme scheme and how to do this and how many words the line should be, etc. And it won't get it right.
It's garbage every time.
It won't.
Gotcha.
And now you can give like this really unique example of how you want the rhyme scheme and words and all this stuff, and it does it perfectly. So you could in theory write real song lyrics now with O1 models, because they take your request and it actually goes back and thinks and reasons through what you're actually asking it. It's the same reason it couldn't solve strawberry before, right? It couldn't tell you how many R's were in strawberry. It needed the ability to go back and check its work, essentially, right? And that's what it's taking its original output and essentially checking its work and then checking its work again until it feels like it has the right response, right? So this thing could, quote unquote, think for variable numbers or amounts of time. If you ask it a really simple question, it might say, "Oh, thought for 5 seconds." If you ask it something a lot harder, the highest one I've gotten so far, pun not intended, 69 seconds. I got
really
this morning, yeah. So I was asking it really hard problems,
That's over a minute though. It took over a minute.
Yeah, so we'll go through an example here really quick. But so, and then it performs like really well on the math benchmarks, coding, STEM subjects, etc. Right? So, and then there's the mini, which is smaller, faster, more cost effective, and it's optimized for coding. It's 80% cheaper to use than the O1 Preview, and it's competitive with O1 preview in the coding tasks. So it's more just fine tuned, right? So, examples of how it did on the benchmarks. So on mathematics, the American Invitational Mathematics exam, preview scored 74.4%, while mini achieved 70%, which is an increase. I think the old models were scoring like 45 to 50%.
So yeah, that's what I was going to ask. Is mini O1 better than GPT-4?
Different in terms of how you would use them.
Okay. So you would still use
in terms
mini...
of coding, you'd probably want to use mini, right?
Okay.
In terms of if I wanted to write a script, I would probably use 4. Oh,
gotcha.
Right.
Gotcha.
So they're different. So I would say anything with complex tasks or reasoning, you would want to use these mini or the mini and preview and even Sam Altman said, this isn't going to be as good at all tasks, right? So like, for example, creative writing, it's not going to seem better, right? So if it's not getting better output in that, you shouldn't use it because of the cost difference, right? So preview scored 74%. So I should clarify. Preview is called preview because it's a preview of kind of the full O1 model, which we do not have access to, which we've been told is coming within a month or so. Okay. And the full benchmark on O1 was like 90%.
Really?
Versus the 74 on the preview, right? So
that's crazy.
Dude, so it is a step change in what we're used to. And I'll talk about the implications of that in a minute, right? So, availability and access. So anybody who has GPT Plus or Teams has access to both models. These are because of the way they go through this like chain of thought or kind of checking its work, they're much more expensive to run. So you do not have as much access as you would on a GPT-4o, etc. So if you're just using it through your ChatGPT interface, you have 50 messages a week that you could send preview, and you have 50 messages a day that you could send mini, I think it is.
So a message is not like one like question box. A message is every time I ask it something, that's a
correct.
Message.
Yes.
So even like little tweaks in here, like
right. So like you're not going to want to do a big long iterative process with 4.0. I mean, with preview, you're going to want to like take it somewhere where you've got this foundation of the thing that you could put in preview and it's going to solve it from there.
Gotcha.
You know what I mean?
Totally.
Right. So other things of note here is they both have a much larger context window, 128,000 token context window, while the other ones have like 32K and 64K.
Okay.
Yeah. So then, and they currently are not multimodal. So you can't input a data file, have web browsing, image processing like that yet. But that's all going to be coming,
so it seems like we're gonna like live in a world, at least in the not too distant future, where, because like when I use ChatGPT, it's like, oh, like whatever the newest one is, that one thing does all of the things that I ask it to do. We'll be living in a world where we're going to have different GPTs for different tasks. Does that make sense?
Well, it's certainly kind of the way you have to think about it right now today. And the reason is because of the high cost and low limits of the preview and mini models, right? So like, and you're mostly doing that because you don't want to waste one of your 50 messages on something that you could have output with 4.0. So I've found myself literally like switching between models in the same chat based on what I'm trying to ask. Do you know what I mean?
Totally understand. Yeah.
It's kind of a pain in the ass for the time being. However, in the future, I would say no.
That'll just be still under one.
You will still have different models you'll use for different things, but cost of these things is going to go down. Cost of using is going to go down. It's just going to keep getting cheaper and cheaper and cheaper. Like it will. So I don't think you're going to be in this world where you're always doing something like this. You will certainly want to use a model like this for more complex tasks. Like not everything you do or ask ChatGPT is a use case for this. So you will want to understand kind of the problem you're trying to solve first and foremost.
So just to clarify, like even in the future, there won't be one model that takes care of everything. You'll still have different models for different tasks depending on the task.
Maybe.
Okay.
I think what'll actually happen is the next step of this is agents, right? So what the implications of this are is like, this is the first real view of like, we could see agents that can do things coming in the future. And so what I think you'll end up being is like, you'll get to a point where you'll have an agent that kind of decides which models to use for different things and goes out and chooses and hot swaps and all of that stuff. That's the world I think you're actually headed to, right? Because this is the first kind of step towards real agent capabilities, right?
Totally.
So like, and what's
That's
the actual implication or like of these, right? So here's another tweet that Dr. Bunchu, charmed, I'm sure, Chamber.
Well, you keep saying implication like we're going to be going on a yacht soon.
Well, it is. It's the implication.
Get some tasty treats out there, you know?
That's right. We are the tasty treats in this scenario. Okay, so this quote tweet that I had from, gosh, I'm not even going to try. Daria Unutsmaz, MD. He's a professor, medical scientist, human immunologist, research in aging and cancer and immunotherapy. And his interests are hashtag longevity, hashtag robotics, hashtag AI, sci-fi space. Okay.
So AKA not a dummy.
Not a dummy. 293,000 followers. And he tweeted 4 hours ago. In the past few days, I've been testing OpenAI 0 or O1 models, mostly O1 Mini, for developing PhD or postdoc level projects. I can confidently claim that the O1 model is comparable to an outstanding PhD student in biomedical sciences. I'd rate it amongst the best PhDs I've ever trained. Let that fucking sink in with
That's
you.
crazy. That's crazy.
Let that sink in.
I did hear that. I forget. I think it's when they first launched it. People were saying that it's like having an assist, like a PhD level assistant, which is it's crazy. By the way, I did get my wife starting to use ChatGPT now. Just you know at the base level. Just for, you know, creating cover letters. She's going back to work. So she's, you know, putting her resume together. And I said, just ask it to do things and it'll do it. And I set her up after a few days. She's like, this is insane how it creates stuff. And she's just obviously just scratching the surface. But to have to kind of jump up so many levels to where somebody at that level that's saying, oh, this is like, some of the best PhD level, you know, information I'm getting here is insane. You know what I mean? Not just creating a cover letter for a job. You know what I mean?
The impact of having a doctorate level anything in your pocket is absolutely bonkers. Like it's just, and this is like, again, the beginning of it, right? So in terms of, you know, we've talked about that OpenAI levels or steps to AGI. This is level 2. Human level reasoning is level 2, right? And so what comes next is agents that can do things. Then it's I think what the next step is innovation and invention. And then it's models that can act as a whole organization would, right? So like that's where we're headed and it's going to happen quick. So
it's so crazy. Like I love being on this ride right now, like really seeing the cutting edge AI technology kind of being birthed every week. You know what I mean? Like to kind of give you an example, we put out an article in our blog, I don't know, last week, where I asked the question, will AI be able to help find Bigfoot? And I had put that in a couple of like subreddits, like Bigfoot subreddits and AI subreddits. And even some of the people in the AI subreddits were like, oh, like it can't even get fingers right. How can it find? I'm like, fingers right? Like that was, what are we talking? 12 months ago? Like we're way past that. And even somebody at my level understood like we're light years past getting the fingers right. You know what I mean? And this was prior to, the announcement by OpenAI about O1. You know what I mean? So the fact that I just feel so close to like the edge of this technology, it's very cool. So yeah, it's very exciting. So to get your perspective and get perspective from people like this, it's very interesting. And then I can go look like a genius to people in my sphere that think I'm an AI professional.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty wild what's coming, right? Like
but people are so even the people that are kind of up to date with kind of the current events are still months behind. And when we're talking the AI world, like months behind may as well be a decade behind. You know what I mean?
Totally. 100%. And I keep saying this is like, you need to exercise your AI muscle like every day. You know what I mean? It's like,
100%.
Or you will be left behind. Because what's going to happen is, you're going to blink in 6 months and it's going to feel like the entire world is different. And you've had your fucking head under a rock and you're not even going to know where to start.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like these people on like, and I have Reddit in kind of this, like, oh, people on Reddit know what's up. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like Redditors are like, oh, like they're above average when it comes to kind of what's happening. And like, they were like basically saying, oh, we're at Will Smith spaghetti level AI right now. And I'm like, oh, like you guys don't
how
even
quickly
know.
we get jaded,
right? Like it's so
funny.
crazy.
There was a tweet that somebody sent in response to Sam Altman when they announced this. And he was talking about how, the announcement and how kind of groundbreaking or whatever it is. And somebody responded back like, well, when do we get advanced voice mode? And Altman's response was like, hey, maybe just show some gratitude for doctorate level assistance in your pocket on demand and chill out for a minute.
Yeah,
like,
give me a freaking second.
Yeah. So I just think I think that's where a lot of people are, right? It's like we've now crossed this chasm of like, oh, we think we know what the future is. Well, we want it right now. You know what I mean?
Right.
and anything that's not that is not good enough yet, right? So that's how. And they just don't even know how to get the most out of what they're using anyway.
That is true.
Hold on one second. I'm trying to pull up an example here. While I do that,
can I give you some good? I was going to say,
yes,
can I give you some good news? I found something out today that I thought of you right away. You are a fan of kind of Australian and New Zealand kind of comedy, would you say?
I am.
All right. You're going to really like this.
Yes, wonderful. Present. Brit Jermaine. Yes, wonderful.
So I saw a trailer today for a new series that's coming to Amazon Prime, and it's The Office Australia. And I got to tell you, it doesn't look too bad.
All right.
It looks pretty good.
Amazon
Office,
Prime?
I think it's on Amazon Prime, yeah. And set in, it's so funny how old, like, you think of The Office, as, American Office, you feel like it's just the other day. And then you watch the new one, you're like, oh yeah, like things have changed a lot since then. So it's a very different office space, but yes, set in the 2020s, which is I think is going to be very interesting.
ZG hitting you up for that Plex account sign up.
Also on Plex. All right.
All right. Should we try to do a quick example here of like,
let's do it.
All right. Cause you've got a hard stop here. So this is GPT-4o. So I'm just going to ask it something that I know it would probably get wrong. Right. I don't know if this is going to work, so we're going to try it.
What's the
I'm
question?
asking it, how many words are in the response to this question? How's it going to know that? It can't. Let's see what it does.
Oh, I see.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, that is incorrect because it said that there are 8 words in the response to my question. I wonder if that's how many were in my question. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. No, so totally wrong, right?
Interesting.
Let's see if I ask the same question to preview if it would get it right. I'll open a brand new chat. We'll waste one of my preview responses here. But what I want but what's more important, quite honestly, than if it gets this question right, because I don't know if it can answer this. I really don't. Because it's kind of a hard thing to answer. You're asking it to answer in its head, essentially, and then tell you how many
words are in that
answer. Right. So, but what I want you to look at here is the process, right? So we did it. There was nothing that happened here and it was instant, right? So again, if I just paste this and it's boom, 8, a really easy, quick response. Now the difference here will be very apparent. So now I'm in preview. Let's see. And just how many words are in response. Now watch what it does on screen.
Okay.
So now it's thinking, right? It says thinking, identifying the task.
Interesting.
Evaluating phrasing, navigating the word paradoxes, analyzing self-reference, thought for 11 seconds. This question is self-referential and creates a paradox, making it impossible to provide a definitive answer. So here, but this is what it did. You can see, right?
Oh, you can actually drop down. You have a drop down screen where you can see.
So it says, identify the task. The assistant must determine the number of words in its response to the user's question. Evaluating the phrasing. I'm considering how accurately to state the word count. So what I like about this is it told you it couldn't answer, right? Which the first one didn't.
Is technically the right answer.
Correct.
Yeah.
Well, it would have been even better if it said, if this was the answer and then it said there's X words in this answer, right? But let's use one. Let's do an example of one that it will think longer on. So, for example, I'm working on seeing if I could get it to help me with my sports gambling models. And
I like how you're using this for good.
Yeah, right, exactly. So let's see. I'm just going to paste my code in here and see what happens. Hold on. So, but I just want you to watch the types of responses and its thought process, essentially. So I'm going to paste my code in here and just say, help me optimize it, right? And now you're going to see it's going to go through this whole process, thinking, optimizing the code, analyzing the sections, and you can see it happening in real time.
This is crazy. What does it say there? What's the last one?
Importing and pre-processing, ensuring successful aggregation, writing a feature. So it's doing all of these things right now before it gives me the answer. And it's kind of going back through and checking its work, et cetera, right? And it's still going. It's still thinking, training the model. Oh, it's trying to do my whole thing. Holy shit. Let's see what happens here. And it's almost like it's talking to itself here, right? I conducted the feature selection and data preparation. I customized the loss function. I assessed the model. I'm thinking about how to vectorize. I'm thinking about how to vectorize, normalize this, blah, 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 blah. It's still going, assessing my GPU potential, structuring custom data sets. So like you could think of there you go. So now it's outputting, and he's identified areas where it can be optimized. And now it's going to walk me through. But look at the answer too. It's much more robust and longer and explanatory and all of that part. I asked a question and it literally wrote an answer for 10 minutes straight the other day.
Really?
Yeah, it was freaking wild. And so now obviously it's writing all of my code. So we'll see, follow along to see if I can get my college basketball model going.
I hope you can.
This is it's not just any college basketball model. I'm using like quantum computing and complex numbers to try to do this, which I know nothing about. I'm just trying to see if it will, you know what I mean?
Totally. Well, you have a PhD in your pocket. Might as well use it, right?
That's the point, right? Like, let me see if I could do something novel. Anyway, that's that'll be a good spot to stop here. We didn't get to talk about some of the other things we wanted to, but that is a good explanation, I think, of what the difference between these new models are, how they work, and where you should use them potentially. Do you have time for 1 minute of pain, or should we skip?
I always have time for 1 minute of pain.
Let's do it.
He's not looking for any fame. It's too late to hide time for 1 minute of pain. 1 minute of pain.
Pain.
I wasn't sure I was going to get my 1 minute.
Well, we always got to get that 1 minute of pain. This is a sponsored segment by Pain.
Yeah.
You pay for this time.
That's true with my pain.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. All right, Pain. Have you used these new models yet? What's your thoughts?
No, I haven't. I think it's I continue to be amazed. I feel like a broken record because I feel like I have to say that every week, but that's just what continues to happen. That's the rate at which things are developing, right? With AI, it's always something new that's continuing to almost break the mind. So no, I haven't, but I'm excited to get my hands on it.
Yeah, man. Let's see what kind of complex problems you can give it. Chamber, one of the suggested things is a hot dog a sandwich? So, the long-awaited answer will...
It always will be, man. I'm a purist. I'm a sandwich purist.
Here's your challenge for the next week, both of you. Check it. Try to give it the most complex problem you can think of and document the longest time it thinks. See if you can beat 69 seconds. There you go.
69 seconds is the time to beat.
That's honestly impressive that you did that.
Does it need to be beat, though, is the question. I feel like
it should end there, and that should be the end of AI advancement.
We've perfected it.
Yeah, it should only think for 69 seconds, and whatever it has at that time is gospel from that.
I like it.
All right. That is going to do it for us today. Until next time, keep the mic hot.
What have I done? What have I become? I can't describe this.